I mean, I watched the playoffs. That's about it. But other than that, nope.
Yeah, no, same here. Let me get this on here real quick. All right, looks like people are still coming in right now. Um, all right, cool. So we're on YouTube. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A. Otherwise, we'll just be scanning the charts for any entries. The 4-hour candle closes in about an hour, so we have about an hour before we have to look for trades. So if you guys have anything you guys want me to look at, or if you guys have any theories you want me to go over, feel free to let me know. Or I know a lot of you guys want me to go over some of the K2 strategies. So if anything, I might go over some of those. But yeah, today's a pretty open day. It's been a slow trading day, so we don't really have much to cover. I think we only sent a few signals today. Just due to the current market conditions. Um, like right now, we still have our GU trade that was open right here. When you first enter this, it was like really close to TP, like I think about a pip or 2 pips away. But it ended up dropping and it ended up shooting back up again. So right now, I think it's still going to keep coming up. We just got to be patient because the market's just all over the place. Let's see if there's any news coming up either. I don't think there's any news. Calendar. So we got news at 11. Let me pull this up real quick. And then I'll just pull this over here. So it looks like we got news at 11. It's the GBP retail sales. This is probably going to affect the market. So in about 6 hours, we'll probably see some type of spike in movement for the GBP pairs. I think it's going to be, hmm, it's kind of hard to tell. I'm not sure if it'll be good or bad because I'm not sure if everything's open in the UK yet. So I'm not sure. It might be better than it was last month, but I mean, we'll just have to wait and see. Otherwise, I don't think there's anything else. We have, this high impact Euro news at midnight. So on London Open, it's going to be really risky to be entering any trades. So I don't think we might call some at 6, but we probably won't call any more trades at 10 because we'll have like 3 hours before we get to these big news events right here, and these are probably going to affect the market pretty heavily. It looks like there's heavy Euro news at midnight, 12:30, 1, and then again at 1:30 for the UK. But I mean, we'll see how things play out. If we see other pairs with any entries available, we can take a look. Otherwise, it's probably best to just stay out because it's Friday and we only have a half day tomorrow to trade anyways. So I'll just keep this up. If you guys have any questions about news, we could probably take a look, but I don't think there's really much to look at. Um, yeah, everything recently, there hasn't been any really impactful news in the last 10 hours. Looks like the last impactful news was this economic index for the US, which was 10 hours ago. It's a long time ago, but there's nothing else here. Energy, see this? Strip clubs being left bare by Paycheck Protection Program.
Well, that's crazy, bro.
Okay.
Wow.
Oh, my bad, Aaron. Did you see that, Aaron? My bad. You were on mute.
Yeah, that's crazy. Oh, that's something else, bro.
And you better tell your homies that are getting the PVP loans to watch out, because if strip clubs aren't getting it, and your homies are gonna
Go to
get it
jail.
either. All right, let's see. Um, Evan's asking, is there any re-entry for NAs? What do you mean by NA, Evan? I'm not sure what you mean by. Is that a pair? Aaron, do you know what he means by NA?
Nope.
Oh, NAS 100. Okay. I've never seen NAs before. Here, I'll take a look real quick. Oh, okay, because NAS, NA, that makes sense. I never seen that before. Looks like, I mean, it's pretty flat. So if you compare to, it's obviously in a downtrend. You can see from the trend meter. This was a call from last week. It looks like hit TP. So this was a call that, not last week, on Tuesday actually. So in our live trading room on Tuesday, it looks like I marked this up right here. and it looks like it hit TP. I was anticipating it to drop, and then it did right here. It ended up hitting TP for about 850 pips. But right now, it's clearly in a downtrend, but the only problem is it's just flat. So it's pretty much going sideways, and it's only moved about, let's see, it's moved like about 160 pips in the past 3 hours. So, the problem with this is it's going to consolidate for a bit. And then once it's done consolidating, it's probably going to break out up or down. So this is like an area where you don't really want to trade it, because the thing is, if you enter a sell, the thing is there's probably a lot of people selling, and then if you enter a sell, it's probably going to shoot up before coming down. Otherwise the market makers and institutions might push it up. So personally, I don't really like trading when it's consolidating like this. It's a little too. If it's consolidating like something like this where it's actually moving, that's a little better because you can anticipate where it's going to move next. But this same pattern right here was happening up here. And if you were entering a buy, you would have been screwed because it came down. That's kind of what I'm thinking right here too, because it's in a downtrend. So if you enter a sell right here, it might shoot the opposite direction. I'd probably wait for it to break out of the zone. Once it breaks out of this zone right here or this zone down here, you can enter a sell or a buy. Kind of like what happened here. So right here, if you're just following this going sideways, if you caught when it dropped down below, you could enter to sell, and then you could have just rolled this down right here. Same situation right here. If you see a buy, you can enter a buy once it reaches above here, and then you can enter it that direction. But I wouldn't really want to enter when it's just moving sideways like that, because you can see here, you just look back at previous data. It's the same thing that happens every single time. It'll go sideways, then it'll move directional, and it'll go sideways, and then it'll move directional again. Same thing right here. It moves sideways, breaks out upwards, and it continues up. Same thing over here. It's the same pattern every single time. Whenever it goes sideways for a long time, you just wait for it to break out in that direction. Like right here, we got a sell signal, and then you can take a sell. So yeah, I wouldn't enter NASDAQ right now. It's still moving sideways, so I would give it some time. Meanwhile, I was asking, will it be a re-entry for US 30? So let me check real quick. So right now if you want to enter this, you could enter this, but me personally, it's just US 30 just hasn't been moving smoothly this whole week. We have these random gaps in price where it just dumps like crazy. And even though we do have a sell signal here for a pivot entry, this doesn't guarantee that it's going to continue down. The thing is right here, there was an entry for a buy. So like same situation here, it was a nice entry for a sell. If you were to wind over here, this looks like a perfect entry for a buy, right? Trend up is really strong. The overall trend is green. We got a buy signal right here. And, this looks like a clear buy entry right here, like a pivot entry, similar to what we had currently, where it came up, came down, rejected off the pivots, then a buy signal. But look what happened after that. This looks like a perfect buy entry, but ended up reversing completely. So that's why I'm kind of hesitant about trading US 30 right now, because even though it looks like a sell right here, just the way that the market's moving, it could shoot in the opposite direction, or it could continue in the proper direction. Like right here, we got a sell signal. It actually pushed up decently. Same right here, we got a buy signal, and then we got a buy signal right here, and then it continued up. The only problem with this is that it's pushed down so far that it's really uncertain if it's going to continue in that direction, or if it might reverse and head upwards. Hopefully it drops far enough to hit TP for this one. I didn't even call it signal. I gave this idea out because it's an actual entry for the pivot entry. If you guys are familiar with the pivot strategy, basically you want to identify the trend, you want to identify your retracement and rejection off the pivot zone, and then you want to take the K² momentum signal in the direction of price. So right here, this would be a good pivot entry. Again, right here, this is a good pivot entry. But due to the current market conditions, it's just too risky for me myself to take this trade. Because we got burned twice yesterday. We got burned with the daily, and then we also got burned with the Asia session. But the thing that was bad about that was that price literally just reached it got pushed a little higher, triggered a stop loss somewhere around here, and then it dropped like crazy. And we were all anticipating this drop. We just weren't able to survive that trade long enough to catch the drop. So the market's just moving really unusual the past 2 weeks. Like I said right here, see, we have a this was a valid entry, but then there was a buy signal right there. So the problem with that is that might shoot on upwards and then stop you out if you take this trade. So I would probably just keep away from the indices for the rest of the week because it just doesn't seem like it's going to be moving in a proper direction. But yeah, let me keep going down the Q&A. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A, and then I can get through those questions. And then if you guys want me to cover anything specific, we can do that as well. So right now, Avery's asking, GJ is in a reverse teacup thing. GJ is in a reverse teacup thing. It will be a big drop at London session. So he's asking if GJ is gonna cause a big drop. So let's pull up GJ real quick. I actually have GJ marked. So I was actually looking to enter GJ for a sell. Actually, I was waiting for it to come down a little further below and then take a sell. But let's see, zoom out of here. Let's get a bigger picture of GJ real quick. So as you can see right here, there's a lot of K²R zones right here, and that's why I have these zones marked up over here. Because they're strong areas of rejection. So let me just hide that so it's not all messy, because I already marked up the chart. So right here, it looks like it's pushing up, and I mean it's stuck in this consolidation zone right here. So the problem with this is, once it reaches the bottom of this zone right here, zoom out of here. So once it reaches the bottom of the zone right here, price could either reject off here and continue upwards, or it could break the zone and reverse into a downtrend. So the thing is, in the area that it's currently in, it's kind of indecisive and it's hard to determine the direction of GJ overall, because it hasn't really established a connection. So if you look at it, Aaron, what was that noise?
My bad, man. It's the motorcycle.
It's like, damn, man, this dude like the souped up Honda Civic. But yeah, okay, so go back to GJ. Look, if you're looking at GJ right now, it's in a short-term uptrend, but we're not sure if this would continue upwards or if it would continue downwards. It's kind of in an iffy area, depending as to where it breaks above this zone right here. So if it does break above this zone, this would be considered, sort of like a break and retest, because it broke, came back down and retest the support right here, and then if it confirms the rejection, we can anticipate that to shoot on upwards. But the thing is, if it breaks below, then it might swing back into a downtrend. So I'd probably wait a little bit. Avery's wondering if we can expect a big drop during London session. The thing that you have to take into consideration too is that we have news at 11. So in about 6 hours, there's GBP news regarding retail sales. I can't really predict whether it's going to be good or bad. It looks like last month was 12%. For this month, they're forecasting 8.3%. So it's probably not going to be good. If it's not good, and if fundamentals play through as they should, which is really up in the air because the market hasn't really been following fundamentals, during COVID. So if it is bad, then JPY is going to be in strength. So if that happens, then yeah, we could expect a drop. But the problem with that is there's no way to really be 100%. So I'd probably just wait until that news happens at 11, which is in 6 hours. And if it drops, I wouldn't enter if it drops just to here, but if it drops way down here, like to the next zone or even down here, then I would see it as confirmation as a sell. But I think if it just drops a little bit, I think that's not enough to confirm some sort of downtrend. Or even if it comes down, so say if it comes down a little bit to this zone, then it comes up and tests this zone right here and then rejects off it, then yeah, because that'd be a pattern of a reversing trend. So if that happens, then it would be establishing a lower high and a lower low, and then it could probably be establishing a trend downwards. So right now we have an uptrend right here. So see if you line those up right there, if that happened right there where it came down, came up, and came down, it would have broke this trend line, and then it would confirm a downtrend to come. So if that happens and it breaks below this area, then that gives you some confirmation that the drop's going to continue coming. But I would just give it some time. I wouldn't enter it right now until there's some sort of catalyst, giving you the direction, telling you that price is going to be coming down. And if we want to add on the pivots, it's still in an uptrend right here. So if you're familiar with how the K2 pivots work, so basically here, I'll just take off the signals right here. So basically, if price is above the pivots and the pivots are angling up and they're spread out like they are right here, it's clearly in a strong uptrend. So you can see right here, price came up, went sideways for a little bit, broke up to the next zone, went sideways for a little bit, and broke up again, rejected up here, and then it came down. Similar with the opposite direction, if price is below the pivots, like it is right here, you can see prices below the 4 pivots. The pivots are angling down and they're spread out. This demonstrates a strong trend downward. So you can see prices trending up, then trending down, then it tried to reverse again, but then it came back down, and then it reversed right here. So right here, it's in an uptrend. Right here, it consolidated a little bit, then it went back into an uptrend, and this is where it's a little iffy. So this is the reason why I think it's going to go up, because what might happen is it might come down, test this zone right here, but once it tests this zone, the pivot's going to be in that area as well. So if those two line up right there and it rejects off to the zone and the pivot, you can expect like a nice rejection and push upwards. So, I mean, it could really go both ways. But like I mentioned earlier, if it breaks below this zone and goes down here, then the pivots will start to angle downwards. So if that happens, it's probably going to attempt to create a reversal in trend. So similar to what happened right here, price is trending down, then it came up, rejected off the zone, then it came back down. So the thing is that there's a lot of different scenarios that can happen with GJ right now, and there's just not enough. There's just not enough points of determination whether it's going to go in either direction. So I probably just give it some time, and then probably just wait for the news event to happen for it to confirm the direction of price. So I'll turn this back on. What else we got here? All right. So I answered that question. Nice. Yeah. So Avery said his thoughts were the same, which is great. If our ideas line up together, then it's a strong idea. So definitely, I would just wait for it and then wait for the extra confirmation. And once you're for sure, then you can enter that trade. Gerald said a couple of questions. Gerald, if you have any questions, put them in the Q&A, and then I can get to them. I'm going down the Q&A by order. So if you would just put your question in there, I can answer your question. I can unmute you later, Gerald. Just put your question in the. Now there's a Q&A. So you're talking to chat right now, but there's another option for a Q&A. Hey, Aaron, can you what does the Q&A look like? It's just a button that says Q&A.
I can't even see it, bro. But it should say Q&A.
Yeah, Gerald sees it. Yeah, Gerald, if you want to type up your question, you can type it up, or just put your question there, and then I can unmute you once we get to your question. But we have like 7 questions left, so I'm gonna go down the list, and once I get to you, then I can answer your question. All right, Mims is asking, will SPX go up or go down tonight, overnight? So let's pull up S&P real quick. I think if we get a sell signal on S&P, I think it'll continue down possibly. Well, I don't know. It's the same situation with US 30, because US 30 and S&P move very similarly. And like I said earlier, there's a pivot entry right here. But the thing is, just the way that US 30 has been moving all week, it could be reversing. Like, who really knows? Or it could be going in the proper direction temporarily before it reverses, because that's kind of what happened up here. So right here we entered a buy because where did we enter a buy from? Yeah, we entered a buy somewhere around Asia sessions, around 16. Or no, we entered a sell because he gave us a sell signal. 16 was right here. Yeah, it gave us a sell signal right here, and then we went into profit for a little bit, and then it ended up reversing, going in the direction of the trend. So the thing is right here, obviously it's in a downtrend, or it's like in a short-term downtrend because of the pivots. You can tell by the pivots being spread out, they're angling downwards. But just the way that it's been moving, it's been just reversing randomly. Kind of what happened over, what was it, AM entry? So the AM entry right here, so we thought that it was going to be reversing upwards, but then it ended up dropping super hard. So it's kind of hard to tell if it's going to follow, with regard to our strategy. But if we do get a sell signal here, then it would be a valid pivot entry. So similar to what happened right here, you can see price came down, retraced right here, rejected off the K2 pivots, then we got a sell signal. And that would have provided for a nice win right there. As you can see, it came up pretty close and then it dropped down. Similar to right here, price came down again, retraced right here, rejected off the zones, and then it came back down for a pivot entry right here. So that would have been a good sell right there. Another one right here, we would just be waiting for the sell signal. So if we get a sell signal around this area, obviously most of the requirements are already met. The only problem is that the pivots aren't angling in one direction. But if we do get a sell signal, then it would probably angle downwards. So you can see right here, price came down, rejected right here, or it retraced right here, and then rejected at this point. So now all we're really waiting for is a sell signal. We keep getting all these US 30 signal. Let me turn those off. But yeah, I mean, just looking at S&P, I mean, the overall trend is an uptrend, obviously, but it's really uncertain whether it'll continue down or if it'll correct back upwards. It's really not moving around. It's literally going sideways. So you can see right here, it's just consolidating, moving sideways, and it's only moved about 51 pips. So it really hasn't moved that much. It looks like it's trying to correct from the drop earlier today, because from this morning, let's see, so the market opened somewhere around here. So from this morning, S&P dropped about 573 pips, which is a pretty big drop, compared to how it's normally moving. You can see right here, it moves pretty slow compared to US 30, and then there's a huge drop this morning, and I'm not sure exactly what caused it. I know there was earnings that were released, but I don't know if it was enough to drop it like this much. So similar as what I explained earlier with US 30, once it consolidates like this, price could either skyrocket up or skyrocket down. So I'd probably just wait for it. I mean, if you really want to enter this, I would just wait for it, wait for a breakout, in a specific direction, and then you can take the entry. It's kind of similar to what was happening like right over here. So if I replay this to this area, same situation. It was in some consolidation, and then once it broke out of the zone, but this is what you want to. This is what you don't want to get caught in. So right here, there was like a fake out. So it was in consolidation, but then it faked out a little bit, and it came back down. So maybe this isn't a great example. This would probably be a better example right here, because it wasn't really consolidating for a long time. It was only consolidating for like maybe an hour or less. But right here, you can see price was consolidating for a lot longer than this, because right here, it only consolidated in this area, and then it was already going down from here. But right here, it was consolidating sideways, and then it shot up in this direction, and then it kept pushing up a little farther. So looking at the current price right here, it's kind of similar. If you look at them side by side, they're pretty much very identical. So generally, after it consolidates for a while, it'll break out in a direction and it'll push in that direction, enough for you to make some profit. And that's exactly what I see happening right here as well. And if you want to look back, at previous data, you can look back. Just look for areas where price was consolidating, like right here. Price is consolidating for a long time, and then it broke up and it continued upwards. Similar right here, it was consolidating sideways right here, and it's usually around the same time. It's around Asia. So you can see right here, it's from what is this, like 10 p.m. until midnight, and then it broke out in this direction and it came down further. So I'd probably wait for it. Personally, I think it'll come down, but we won't know for sure until it actually happens. And I wouldn't enter if it just breaks out a little bit. It would have to break down like way down here or way up here to give confirmation whether it's going to continue that direction. All right, cool. So let me go to the next one. Mims wants us to look at Jury 30, which is also the DAX. It looks like Mims looking at all the literally all the indices. So this is the DAX, the German 30. Right here, it's GER, Euro. This depends on your broker. Some of the brokers call them GRX, some of them call them GER, some of them call them DAX. But the DAX, S&P, and US 30 kind of move in the same direction. They both move very similarly. So since I'm looking for a sell with US 30, I'm also looking for a sell with S&P, and I'm also looking for a sell for DAX. So since they move similarly, like I mentioned earlier, they're all stuck in consolidation right now. So it looks like it's trying to break south actually. So this right here would actually be a pivot entry similar to the US 30 entry that we have active right now. So looking at US 30, like I mentioned, you have to confirm the direction of the trend. You wait for price to retrace up, and then you wait for a rejection like it did right here, and then a signal in the direction of the trend, a sell signal right here. And that's why we took a sell. Similar with the DAX, same situation happened here. So price came down. So here's the first entry. Price came down, retraced, rejected off this area. You got a sell signal. So if you took that sell signal and you entered right here, you would have made a profit for about 534 pips. Same situation right here. Price came down, retraced up, rejected off the zones, and then it gave a sell signal right here. So this would be a valid sell entry if you're applying the K2 pivot strategy. But like I mentioned, it's consolidating right now, so I'd probably just give it some time before you make that entry. Unless you want to be bold and you just want to take it, feel free to take it. But like I mentioned earlier, there's news coming at 11, so that's in about less than 6 hours. So the worst thing that could happen is you enter this trade, and then you get caught in some news spikes. But it works similar with pretty much all the other, not just indices, but it works for Forex too. Generally, if it's in consolidation, it'll normally break out in a certain direction. So like if you look right here, price was in consolidation for a bit, broke upwards, continued upwards. Again, right here, price was in consolidation, could have taken the sell signal right here and then caught that right down. That's one way to trade. This is a way that I used to trade before. I used to always wait for, like, people hate consolidation. I used to love waiting for consolidation zones because I know that once consolidation is done, it's going to break out in a direction, and I would capitalize on that. But the thing is, I don't like waiting for for those patterns anymore. So, I mean, it does work. You can just wait for, if you don't want to enter a sell just now, you can just wait for it to break out of this consolidation zone. So if it breaks way up here, you can enter a buy. If it breaks down here, you can enter a sell. It's really up to you. But currently, I don't see a specific direction right now because price can literally shoot either way. Plus, with news coming up at 6, in 6 hours at 11 p.m. my time, that can cause a spike in either direction. So if you're waiting for that, that might be an issue for you because, you don't want to catch the spike. Like, you don't want to chase the trade. So if it spikes down, I wouldn't chase the trade because odds are it's probably going to correct back in the opposite direction. I would wait for it to break due to the news and then wait to see how the market reacts following that. But yeah, so DAX is pretty much the same as US 30 and S&P. And then Mim's asking, would you recommend a sell stop order for NASDAQ? Let's see, NASDAQ. So personally, same situation with pretty much all of the main indexes. So with US 30, it's consolidating. With S&P, it's consolidating. With the DAX, it's consolidating. Same with NASDAQ, it's consolidating as well. So right here, I wouldn't put a sell stop because the thing is, say price spikes down a little bit to your sell stop, right? Which will probably happen because your broker sells your entries and your sell stops to the institution. So the thing is, if they see a lot of sell stops in this area, say everyone's trying to do the same thing you're doing, right? They're going to spike price down to fill all your orders, and then they're going to shoot it up to stop you out. So that's why I wouldn't enter a sell stop here unless you had some sort of catalyst. You know, some sort of catalyst giving you confirmation that price was going to continue in that direction. The last thing you want is to get caught in a whipsaw and then end up getting screwed because you entered the trade in at the wrong time. So I would just wait for it, you know, give it some time, and then once it breaks in either direction, far enough like up here or way down here, then maybe take an entry. But personally, right now, I wouldn't take any entries for any of the indices. Let's see what else we got here. All right, Andrew said EA is still looking good for a buy. Let me pull up EA real quick. Yeah, actually, I think I shared this in the group earlier, right? I shared this as an unofficial call. It looks like it would have hit TP1 earlier if you took this trade. I think Lucas took this. He messaged me earlier. He's in this trade. I don't think he's in here, but yeah, Lucas hit me up earlier. He's in this trade. I think he got out of TP1 actually because so generally where I put TP1, if the stop loss and risk isn't too wide, I usually put it somewhere around the middle. Like somewhere around here. The thing is with our TPs is this isn't an area where we put our profit target. This is just an area where we remind ourselves to move our stop loss. So as price shot up right here, you know, once it reaches TP1, you'd move your stop loss to TP1 to eliminate your risk and lock in those profits. So you don't get caught in a situation like this where price ended up swinging downwards. So the thing is, if price swings up and it hits TP1, you move your stop loss to TP1 in this area. So if price was to reverse like it did right here, you'd have gone stopped out up here. And then if you got stopped out right there, you could have locked in about half profit for about 32 pips or 33 pips, which is not bad at all because you're still in profit. You have no loss. You know, if you ended up not moving your TP, you would have been stuck in the trade. Although I think it's going to continue up. You know, this isn't a situation that you really don't want to be in, especially with news coming up in about a few hours. I mean, it still looks like a decent buy, but personally, I wouldn't re-enter this for a buy because if I was in this position, I would have gotten out already. I would have gone stopped out in profit. So, you know, it's really going to be a call on your own part if you want to take that risk. But me personally, if you're asking me if I would take it, I wouldn't take it right now, especially with this big red candle. It can come down pretty far. It might come down far enough to test this zone right here before shooting upwards. It's just really, you know, it's really up in the air until you have some sort of catalyst giving you confirmation of, you know, the direction moving forward. So if you look here, the overall trend is bullish. And then just looking at the K2 pivots right here, it looks like price is crossing upwards. So if it crosses upwards like this, what might happen is price might come down and test this pivot as it moves this way. And then it'll correct back up. But in that situation, you can just wait. So you can wait for price to come down below the entry, and then you can just put a buy stop right there and then enter for prime entry like if you entered originally. But me personally, I wouldn't recommend entering this trade right now because the odds are it's probably going to come down further, and then you're going to end up in a loss until it ends up swinging back in your direction. So yeah, I'd hold off on EA right now. Let's see. CT said UJ triple bottom with close below zone. Let's go to UJ real quick. I've been looking at UJ like all week, and I've been wanting to enter it, but it hasn't closed below. So yeah, like what you mentioned right now, CT. All right, so CT said there's a triple bottom, which is what I spotted right here too. So I mean, it's probably a quadruple bottom because if you go way farther back, it's actually tested a lot. It's really strong support. So right here, it's tested 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 times actually, or maybe 6 if you count this down here. But yeah, CT mentioned that it closed below the zone. So the thing with this is once it closes below the zone, it's breaking out of a big consolidation zone. You can see price was consolidating right here in the middle. Zoom out more. And I can take out the pivots too. So just looking at it right here, and I'll take off the, so if you look at this from a bigger picture, you can see that price, like UJ respects the zone so perfectly. So I can even move this down, move further down here. All right, so just looking at it like this, price came down, and it tested this zone, rejected, came up here, rejected off this area, came for a double test, rejected, came down, rejected, came up, came down, rejected, and it's pretty much just bouncing between the zones. So, looking at price right here, it was in consolidation since July 9th. I mean, it's a big consolidation zone right here, but it was still ranging back and forth. See how many pips? I mean, it's not that big. It's only 40 pips, but just looking at that, once you see price break down below, you can see the momentum for the sellers right here. So what CT was spotting was a valid sell entry using the K2 zone strategy. So right here, if this closes right here, I'd probably enter a sell because I would anticipate it to shoot on downwards. The only problem with entering this right away is, just the way that the market's been moving. So I'd probably just give it some time, like even though it closed at 6 p.m., in about 26 minutes, I would wait for it because what's been happening lately is price usually comes up, retraces a little bit to test the zone, like the upper zone area, and then it comes back down. And I hate being stuck in trades like that because you're like, crap, why did I enter this trade? It like literally did the opposite on me real quick. So even though I see this close below here and it does look like a great trade, I'd probably hold off for a little bit. So let me see. I'm gonna check the pivots real quick. I've been looking at the moon phases. See what C6 in here? Oh yeah, C6 here. So me and C6 have been looking at the moon phases. So it's a yeah, the moon phase. Generally, when you get I forgot what this is called. Hey, C6, what's the when the moon ends? Is that the end phase? Because I know the new moon is the white moon. But yeah, full moon. So when it's a full moon, that means price is going to go down. If it's a new moon, price goes up. Right here, it was a full moon, came down. And then right here was a new moon. It was supposed to go up, but it didn't. So this is why I kind of stopped looking at this. But it looks like right here, if we do get a full moon, it might come down further. I mean, the strategies, I mean, it's not the best strategy, but it is kind of on point sometimes. Like right here, there's a full moon came down. Right here, it didn't work because it was a new moon. It's supposed to go up, but it kept going down. So it's not something that I really rely on. It's just something that I look at a little later for extra confirmation. But there's no, I mean, right here, there was a new moon. It's supposed to go up, but it hasn't gone up. So it's going to continue down. This is something that Wade uses. Is Wade in here? No. So yeah, when Wade analyzes indices, this is one thing that he uses to determine the direction of price. He likes to trade right when the new moon appears, and then he'll take. This is when he gives you guys those big trades where he's like, yeah, take a sell and then just trust it. So he takes the sell and then it ends up going down. But I mean, me personally, I just use it for extra confirmation. It's not something that I really look at all the time. But it is something good to look at just for extra confirmation. But what I was mentioning earlier was, so right here, even if this closes below, generally what happens, especially since it's a big drop, let's see how many pips. Yeah, this is a pretty big drop. If you're comparing this to UJ with other pairs, it's 32 pips. That's a pretty big drop. It usually retraces a little bit, kind of similar to what happened here. So if you look at every time it drops pretty heavy, well, not every time, but a lot of the times where it drops pretty heavy, like right here, see how many pips is this? So right here, it dropped about 42 pips. That's exactly what's happening right here. When it drops down like that, it usually retraces up a little bit and retests the upper zone before it comes back down like it did right here. Same situation right here. Price came down right here. And this is stuff that you guys should be looking at when you guys are scanning charts. You guys should be looking for patterns, because what happened in the past, odds are it's probably going to happen again. Right here, it dropped again 40 pips. And then what happened here? It rejected, and then it pushed up a little bit. So what I see happening here is, even though price closed below the zone, I'm probably going to see some sort of retracement where it comes back, tests this area, and then comes back down. And that doesn't mean that it's bad to enter right now. It's just, I can't take any more stress by looking at these trades going the opposite direction this week. So I'm probably going to sit out of it. I might give a call, and I might take maybe a small position on it so it doesn't stress me out. But You know, me personally, I'm probably not going to take a full position on this, even though it looks like a nice sell. But it does look like a good sell. So let me look at CT's chart. He actually sent his chart too. His chart looks a little different. I mean, it's the same thing, but let's see. Unless he caught it, actually, yeah, no. So he sent me this chart before it dropped. So his chart right here, he's this happened when price was like way over here, but it actually dropped a lot. So his chart is actually down here below the next zone. So let's see. He has another zone down here. I don't see that zone though. Oh, duh. Okay, so his zone is this right here. This is the lower support zone right here, and it already broke it. So this is a strong push down. So I do anticipate it to keep pushing down, but like I mentioned earlier, this is normally what happens. If there's a big drop, it'll retrace a little bit before coming down. So I'd probably wait for it to drop, let it retrace a little bit, and I'll put a sell stop right here to catch the momentum back down. Because the thing is, you don't want to enter this trade and then be caught in this trade and it's in the negative. You know, it's gonna be the worst feeling ever. But it does look like a good sell. Thanks for that tip, CT. All right, let's see what else we got here. All right, cool. All right, so we got, all right, so Gerald's questions. I'm getting to your questions now, Gerald. So let's see, Gerald, today I have a few questions actually. How long will you wait after news before you look to enter trades? And how do you look at all folders, and do you look at all folders or just mid to high impact news? So me personally, I only look at the orange and red folders. So going to my calendar here, I turn off the lower impact news because these usually don't have an effect on the market, or not enough for you to really for it to really affect our trades, because our stop losses are pretty wide. They're like 40 to 60 pips, maybe even more for the faster moving pairs. So for these small news events, even though like they might affect the market temporarily, like 5 or 10 pips, it'll spike price a little bit. It's not enough to really throw off our trades, since we trade on the 4-hour chart, which is why I only focus on the red and orange folders. But generally, if there's news coming up, I usually don't trade 2 hours before and maybe an hour after, depending if there was a reaction. So if there was a reaction, say if there was trying to see if there's a news event somewhere in here. So say there was a news event, on the specific calendar right here, and then we saw this huge drop, then I would probably give it maybe like an hour or so. Because the thing is, when there's a movement in the market that was caused due to news, like right here. So right here, there's a big drop, and then it wicked upwards. So if there was news right here, this probably caused a drop down, and then it retraced up, and then went into correction in the opposite direction. So this is why I would give it some time, because this would be the worst part. Like if you waited for this candle to close and then you entered a sell because you were convinced that price was going to continue downwards, and then it ended up reversing. See, if you waited like a couple hours and then saw that there was an opposite movement in the other direction, you could have avoided getting caught in this move. So me personally, I don't like trading 1 to 2 hours before news, or entering any new trades 1 or 2 hours before news, and I don't like entering 1 or 2 hours after news, because there's usually an after effect. So like similar to like right here. So like right here, I don't know if there was news right here, but just using this as an example. So price dropped pretty heavy, and then if you entered right after the news event happened, you see this green bullish candle. This would have given you some sort of hint that price maybe was correcting back upwards. So in that situation, if you entered too early and you entered a buy, you would have been screwed because it came straight back down. And that's why I like to wait for, let me go on the lower time frames. This would be easier for us to interpret, because on the lower time frames, this is generally, how long you would wait. So I'm going to look for a big candle spike that, okay, so like right here. So say right here, the news event happened, right? So if this news event happened, causes huge drop, this might have been news related, because price is barely moving here, and then all of a sudden it drops crazy right here. So this is probably a news event that happened, caused a big drop, and then right here another big drop, So people are probably FOMOing in. So the situation right here, if this news event happened and then you see it drop further, you probably wanted to jump in on this trade. So generally, if you see this keep dropping, you're probably going to jump in somewhere around here, and then you're hoping that it keeps dropping down, but then it ends up reversing. That's why I would wait 1 or 2 hours after the news event to see how price reacts. Because if you waited 2 hours after this drop right here, so here's 1 hour, here's 2 hours, and then you waited for this candle to close, you could have entered a trade in the other direction, in correction. Because if you entered off, just 1 hour after the news event happened, you'd enter a sell right here, and you probably could have made some decent profit. I mean, not very much, like 18 pips, which is it's not a crazy amount. If you entered right there with the sell, you'd have been screwed because it would have reversed on you. So me personally, after a news event, I like to wait maybe 1 or 2 hours. If this happens, if there's like a huge move, if there's no movement, like if there's a news event and it just moves a little bit, like this, like a little spike, then that's fine. But if you see a big move like this, so comparing this candle right here, this is like a 45, maybe 50 pip move compared to like a 20 pip move. It's a huge difference there. You kind of just want to analyze the market to see how people react to the news events. Because the thing is, when you see a big move like this, there's going to be a lot of retail traders that are FOMOing in. So they're like, shit, I should have entered that trade. So they enter sell here. And then the market makers are like, nope, let's switch it back in the proper direction. They swing it upwards. So that's why I would give it some time before you decide to enter a trade regarding news. But me personally, I don't trade news at all. So if there's news, I'm probably just not going to trade for like the 4 hours in between. CT say $1 chart shows the same small move up and down. Yeah, same situation. I mean, pretty much with every pair, not just UJ, but pretty much every pair. If this happens, I usually anticipate some sort of rejection, or not rejection, some sort of retracement before it moves in the proper direction, which is why I would probably wait a little bit before entering. But I'll just mark it so I know. So I have about 15 minutes. So I'll start scanning the charts in a little bit. So Gerald's next question is, are you ever going to design your system to be compatible with MetaTrader 4? Probably not. The reason for that is because MetaTrader 4 can be cracked. So if I was to transfer my algorithm, my strategy, my indicators to MetaTrader 4, someone could easily crack that and then use it as if it was their own. And that's why I use TradingView, because TradingView is protected. So initially I was thinking about porting it to MT4, but not anymore, because there's a ton of scammers out there. And then I already know if like someone gets their hands on the K2 strategies and K2 indicators, they're just going to act like it's theirs. So short answer to your question is probably not. And I don't even use MT4 myself. Like that platform is just too outdated for me. So it would be hard for me to port it anyways, because I don't even know how to use MT4. And I also trade on a Mac, so I have to use TradingView or Thinkorswim, like this app down here. So if anything, I would port it to Thinkorswim, but most people here don't trade on that platform. So it just wouldn't make sense for me to port it to there. Mim said MT4 sucks Donald Trump's orange hair. Yeah, I don't like MT4. MT4 is just way too outdated. If you compare it to TradingView, there's so many different options with TradingView, and there's so many things that you can add to it compared to MT4. Like MT4 is like dinosaur age compared to TradingView. Generally, the people that use MT4 are people that trading on their phone, or that they have computers that can't handle the newer software. So yeah, me personally, I probably don't expect myself to port it to MT4 probably ever, because I don't even use that application. Aaron's a dinosaur. Yeah, so we have about 13 minutes left until the candle closes for the 4 hour. So I'm just gonna scan through the charts real quick, and then I'm gonna see if there's any entries that we could possibly take for the next 4 hour candle. So just give me a few minutes, guys. I'm just gonna take a quick scan. You guys can see how I scan charts. So generally, when I scan charts, I have, so the 4 main indicators that I have on. Aaron, you're muted. Oh, you left and you came back. All right, cool. Mia, we'll be back to panelists.
Hello?
You want to say something?
Yeah.
I can't hear you.
Shawn, don't start.
So did you leave the room and came back?
Yeah. Actually, I had lost connection.
Oh, okay.
My Long Beach is a little horrible connection out here.
Yeah. Bootleg shit. But yeah, guys, like I was saying earlier, when I scan for trades, the main indicators that I use, because I mainly trade the um, the zone strategy, is I use the obviously the K2 momentum indicator because this provides the catalyst. It tells us, when to enter a trade or, the direction of price. I use the K2 momentum indicator, which is the vertical lines right here. I also use the K2SR indicator, version 2, which it shows all the areas where price is rejected from. So you can see right here, price came up, rejected off here. And it basically just gives you a good understanding as to where price is going to head to and where it might reject from. So those are the two main indicators that I use. Lately, I've been using the K2 pivots indicator just so I can have a bird's eye view as to where the direction of trend is. So, obviously, like I mentioned earlier, when price is above the K2 pivots and the K2 pivots are spread out, angling in the same direction, this provides, an easy bird's eye view as to what the direction of price. So just looking at this here, you can see price was trending up. As price came down and broke within the pivots, you can see price was consolidating. It went above it, trending up. I know it looks a little messy here because we have all these lines on the chart. But if you look at the charts well enough and you're able to analyze it, it doesn't really confuse me as much because I'm so familiar with it. But generally, to clean it up for you guys, like when I post up a signal, I'll draw, instead of having all these lines here, I'll just draw my own zones over where these lines are. And then I'll hide the K2SR. And then there you go. It looks way nicer. And then if I want to take off the pivots, it looks even nicer. And if I want to take off the momentum indicator, you can see here, it's super clear as to where price rejects from. Like just looking at it, you can see where price is rejecting from. Like right here, you can see that price came below. And like I mentioned earlier, after entry, price usually retraces a little bit and it tests the zone. So after it tests the zone right here, just looking at the chart, it's pretty clear that price is probably going to shoot back down to CP. Because you can see right here, price generally goes from zone to zone. So price came up, rejected off here, rejected off this zone, rejection, rejection, comes up, rejects off the zone a couple times, breaks it, and it pretty much just moves from zone to zone. So right here, I'm anticipating a drop down. Or actually, let me, so this is the problem with this trade. I didn't call this trade earlier because it was against the trend. So this is where all the indicators kind of come into play and help each other out. Because right here, this would have been a nice sell because we had a sell momentum right up here. So price is obviously coming down from right here and momentum is swinging down. Reason why I didn't call this is because price was above the pivots and price was just trending up too strong. And this is why, I generally don't like to trade against the trend because pretty much all the K2 strategies except the daily US 30 is, they're all trend continuation strategies. So right here, I personally don't want to enter this, but I did mark it up because it's still a valid entry if we were to take it. But this is why I didn't take it because price is trending up. And, even though it's retracing right here, it might not reject off this point. It might push it up further because the price is still above pivot. So if it's trying to correct back upwards, it might shoot up. Otherwise, it might reverse if it breaks below the last pivot zone. So I have this marked up, but this isn't an entry right now. I'm just, this is just something for me to look at if I want to go and back test it and see if it actually played out. But it's just too risky for someone like me to take. This is our entry from, let's see, the 21st, so on Monday, I think. But I actually got out of this trade. I think most of us got out of this trade already because we had TP1 somewhere over here. I don't know if anyone's still in this trade, but it looks like it reversed pretty hard. But this is why we always recommend, proper risk management, because if you move your stop loss to TP1, like we always advise, then you would have gone out up here in profit. I'm already out of this trade. I just have it marked up just in case, anyone else still has this trade open. But just the way that the market's been moving, it's super unpredictable. So if I delete this right here, there's no way that you could have, anticipated this was going to happen right here. So let me just rewind it. before that red candle. So you can see here, this is where it was when we were in this trade. So we entered this trade right here, and it pushed up about, let's see, pushed up like 32 pips. And most of us moved our stop loss. I waited until it tested the zone right here, but I moved it up here in this area, and that's where I got out. But you know, this is why we always recommend you know, managing your position properly, because if you move your stop loss and profit when it reached TP1, you'd have gone stopped out right here for about like 20 something pips. Let me see if I can pull it up here. So yeah, so TP1 hit for about 24 pips right over here. And that's where, you know, majority of us, if not all of us, moved our stop loss and profit to get out. Because we didn't want to get caught in something like this. So right here, obviously it's in a very strong uptrend, but look what happened after that. Straight reversal. And that's why you have to protect your positions, because right now, the way that the market's moving, it's really unpredictable when it's going to be reversing in the opposite direction. So that technically this is still active, but it's not looking good. So hopefully everyone got out of this trade already. We'll move on to the next one. Right here, same situation with odd CAD. So like I mentioned here, there was a valid sell entry. Similar with odd JPY, there was a valid sell entry right here, but I didn't call this because, you know, price is trending up too strong. What I see maybe happening here is price might come down to the zone right here, and then it might shoot up to correct back upwards, or maybe not even test the zone. It might just test the pivots. And if you guys aren't familiar with the pivots, you know, the pivots come in different levels. The green would be level 1, yellow would be level 2, orange would be level 3, and 5 would be level 4. So these are degrees of levels. So if it comes down to the 4th level and rejects off it, or if it breaks below it, then it's probably going to reverse in trend. But if it rejects off it, it's probably going to skyrocket back up. And that's why I didn't want to call this trade. It's just a little too risky. Odd NZD. Yeah, there's no entry here. I would probably wait for it. If I got a buy signal and it closed above here, then I could have entered a buy. Reason why I wouldn't enter right here if price closed above here was because price might come up and reject off the zone right here and come back down. But if it does close within the zone here, it might be a decent entry because you can ride it up to this, to the top. Because you can see right here, it has a double top. It's tested it twice. It's probably pushing up to test it a 3rd time. But it's just too risky. There's no entry available there. Odd USD. It looks like all of the odd pairs are pulling back right now. So they're all pulling back in this direction. You know, again, right here, this would have been an entry if we wanted to, but it's too close to the support. So that's why I didn't even bother looking at it. I like to have at least, you know, well over 20 pips from current price to the next zone to prevent any type of rejection or reversal. There's another entry right here, but it was too close to the support. It's only 11 pips. This is just too risky because the spread's like 3.2. So if you're going to enter this trade, you come in at a negative 3.2, and then you have to also cover the spread getting out for another 3.2. So technically, you'd only be making, it was 11 pip movement from here, probably making like a few pips just to get in and out. So it's just not worth taking. KJPY. This is one buy entry that I spotted the other day. Right here. I don't think I called it, but it would have been a winner. I can't remember. Aaron, do you remember if we called this trade?
Yeah, I don't think we called this one. We got passed.
Yeah, it just looked too risky because the thing is, this could have been like a false fake out right here.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what happened. So you can see price broke up and then it pushed up a little bit before reversing back down. But it looks like JPY is pretty strong. So UJ might be it might be a nice sell. What do you think about this, Aaron? Would you take it?
Ooh, that one looks pretty nice. Let's see.
Yeah. For like 43, 44 pips.
It's not too bad. I like that one. I'll take it.
Yeah, so we might take this call. UJ. We got about 2 minutes. Let me scan through this real quick, see if there's anything here. CHF JPY looks good too, bro.
How many pips?
I think I like UJ better though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
usually that because it broke that zone. It broke support.
yeah. So we'll probably call UJ. Let me see. This is a Euro odd call that we called earlier, or we didn't call it, but I just made it. I shared it with you guys to take. Bro, we should have took this Euro CHF yesterday.
It hit four, well, almost hit 4 TP.
Yeah, that would have been good. But there's no entry right now, so we're not looking at that. What do you think about EJ, bro? It's like out in the open, but it's in a strong uptrend though.
Yeah.
It's risky. Let me check. EJ is actually in a downtrend though, so that's why this would be a good entry.
Exactly.
Let me scan through these real quick. Yen, EU. I think did we call this? I don't think so, right?
I did. I think we did. Yeah, he was active.
Oh no, but it wasn't an official call. It was just a share, right?
Let me check. I thought it was I'll check right now.
Yeah, everything else looks. No, we call it GU, bro. We didn't call it EU.
It was. Oh yeah, you're right. It was you.
So this is our GU call from earlier. It's about to hit TP1 right here for 25 pips. And if we get that buy signal, that gives even more confirmation that it's going to continue upwards. So that's looking good. NZD CAD, this is something I looked at, but we didn't call it. Like I mentioned earlier, price generally rejects off the zone. So price came down, rejected off this zone right here, and then now it's heading back up. It's probably going to reject off this zone and then come back down. Nothing there, nothing there, nothing there. Man, look at UCAD, bro. We should have taken this. I remember we kept looking at it, but I don't know. UCAD has always been iffy for us. Damn, USD CHF dropped like crazy.
That one too is tanking.
All right, I'm gonna call
Yeah, that one's good.
call UG. I'm just gonna round it to 44 pips. So if you guys are familiar with the K² premium signals, this is how I call the signals. So screenshot of that real quick. If you guys are in K² Premium, you guys will be getting this entry right here, so you don't have to copy it as I type it up. Let's do a sell limit because it's already. Entry TP2. Oops. Stop loss. Yo, anything I should do a TP1 for this?
Well, UJ.
Yeah, that's cool. This is 2 TPs.
Yeah, 2 TPs. Yeah.
That's cool. It's kind of tight. It's not that wide. All right, cool guys. So if you guys are in premium, I sent that signal right there. So if you guys want to take that trade, should be good. I set my alerts right now. This is going to be 1 plus 22 pips. All right, right here, stop loss. And then right here, full TP. All right, so that's pretty much how I set up my trades, guys. So if I ever enter a trade, I set alerts right here. So when I say TP1, I don't actually put my TP1 right there. My TP is going to be full TP always, but I put an alert here for TP1. So once price reaches this area, I'll get an alert. So once I get that alert, I'll go and move my stop loss to TP1. So if price was to come down and then come up right here, I get stopped out of TP1. Guaranteed profits, no losses. But if price breaks below it, and I move my stop loss to here and it keeps coming down, then I could get full TP. And that's what I mean by risk management. Risk management is using the proper lot size and managing your positions properly so that you can guarantee profits and you eliminate all risk whenever it's possible. But yeah, let me get back to the questions, guys. So that's the only signal that we have right now. I'll mark it red because it's a sell. But yeah, let me get back to these questions. All right, Mim said, how do we know when it is a real breakout or false breakout? How can I tell? All right, Mim. So pretty much what I would do is I would wait for it to find an example somewhere here. Go to another pair where there's like clear breakouts. All right, so like right here. So you can see right here, price broke out below. I would wait for the next following candle to close to give confirmation. So like right here, price came down and then it broke below the zone. And then instead of entering a sell right away, I would wait for this to close right here so that you get confirmation that price is going to continue in that direction. So, obviously here, if you entered right here, you'd have been screwed because you'd have gotten caught in this reversal. So I would wait an extra candle for it to confirm that price is going to continue downwards. Similar to right here. So price came down, broke right here, and then it reversed. Again, right here, price broke upwards, and then it came down the opposite direction. So you basically would have been screwed either way. This is how they trick you. So like if you saw this breakout right here, you would have taken a sell. Then the institutions and market makers would have spiked price up to stop you out. Again, right here, price shot up. And then, but what would happen here? Same situation. You would enter a buy right here, right? So if you entered a buy right here, you get trapped again a second time. So you get stopped out once, you get stopped out twice because they tricked you with these false breakouts. And then again right here. So if they got you, they probably caught people 3 times in this one move. So price broke out here, people probably sold, then they got stopped out. And then they saw this breakout up here, entered a buy, and then they got stopped out. And then right here again, it broke below, they entered a sell. And then if they didn't eliminate the risk, so price did come down pretty nice from here. But okay, so here's the problem. So if your stop loss was too tight and you entered this sell right here, you can see this big spike right here. So you might have gone stopped out. And this is how people lose at trading because they don't wait for extra confirmation. They just jump into trades right away. But like I mentioned, you just wait for the candle to, 1 or 2 candles after it to close to give extra confirmation. Because right here, if you waited for this and didn't enter a sell, you could have avoided getting caught in this fake out. Again, right here, if you waited for 1 or 2 candles, you could have avoided getting caught in this fake out as well. And then again, right here, and then again, right here. Like, this is notorious for like a lot of uh, people that end up getting stopped out. And then, so they'll get stopped out right away and then it'll correct back in that direction. So right here, price broke out and then people probably would have entered a buy right here. And then they might have gotten stopped out right here. This is a classic pattern right here. Like people will enter a buy right here. And then once they enter, price pulls back, stops them out. And as soon as it stops them out, the stop loss run, it shoots right back up into profit. And you're like, damn, I wish that my stop loss was like wide enough. And this is why we have wide stop losses. A lot of people ask why is our stop loss so wide? And to avoid getting caught in these moves, because we know that this happens all the time. So in this situation right here, we would have entered like this position right here, and our stop loss would have been either right here or way down here. It's like 100, 200 pips. But the thing is, this prevents us from getting stopped out right here because this happens all the time. Um, so in order for you to not get caught in these breakouts, I would wait for confirmation. So I wouldn't have entered here because after this breakout, it was a opposite candle. Again, right here, I wouldn't have entered right here because it was an opposite candle. Same situation right here, price broke below, opposite candle. Right here, price broke right here, opposite candle. So if you just wait 1 or 2 candles after the breakout, then you can have you can confirm that price is moving that direction. So again, right here, price broke out and you waited for like 1 or 2 candles right here. You waited for these to close. Obviously, you would have lost out on, let's see, like 40, 50 pips. But if you waited right here and just entered right here, you could have been confirmed and caught like 100 pips. So that's one way to confirm, whether a breakout is valid or not. But it doesn't always work out that way. But just looking, so it depends on which pair you want to trade because some pairs have a lot more false breakouts compared to other pairs. So it looks like Euro Odd has a ton of them because right here is a false breakout, false breakout, false breakout, false breakout, and then again right here. If you just follow these right here, there's a ton of false breakouts. So just depending on which pair you like to trade, this is what I recommend. I recommend you find a pair that you like to trade, and then you study how the price, like how price moves for that specific pair. Like you can see Euro odd here. There's a ton of false breakouts. But let's see if we go to like USD CAD. See right here, there's less false breakouts here. So price broke out right here. It was a nice drop. Price broke out right here. It was a nice push up. I'm trying to see if there's any false breakouts here. So I guess, I mean, it's hard to gauge because the last 2 weeks, the market just wasn't moving right. There's a ton of false breakouts all around. But if you go back farther, let's see, like farther over here, like in March or maybe even April. So April right here, price broke out downwards and it would continue down. Price broke up upwards, continued up, continued down, continued up. This is when price was actually moving. I mean, it was still moving crazy due to COVID, but it wasn't moving like how it was this week. So right here, this is a nice smooth move in May. But you go over here, these past couple weeks, price is literally going back and forth, like day by day. So it's kind of harder for you to identify how it moves. But like what I mentioned earlier, what I recommend is you find a pair that you like. So if you like UCAD, just study UCAD, like, apply the K2 indicators, apply the strategies, and understand how it moves. If you like EJ, understand how EJ moves, because you can see that certain pairs move in a certain way. Like some of them respect these zones better than other pairs. Like you can see EJ here is respecting it nice. If you go to AN, it's respecting it nice too, but it's a whole other story because AN it moves around way too much. You can see there's wicks on every single candle, and it's harder to follow compared to something like UCAD where it's a little smoother. But yeah, that's pretty much how I would recommend identifying like a false breakout with regard to a real breakout. So Andrew said sell gold, sell for gold. I've been in a sell since its peak today. So let's go to gold real quick. Yeah, so Andrew said he's been in a sell since its peak today. So you've been in a sell from way up here, right? This is silver, sorry. So you've been in a sell since 6 a.m. today. Um, you know, Me personally, I don't like to counter trend trade. I only trade in the direction of the trend, uh, except when trading US 30, when I'm trading the daily entry. But for everything else, I generally wouldn't go against a trend, especially a trend that's strong, because what might happen here is since you're in a sell, price might come down, test one of these pivots, and then skyrocket back up. There's 4 levels of defense right here. There's level 1. You can test this and then reject, correct back up. There's level 2 right here, level 3 or level 4. But me personally, I think gold is going to keep pushing up because just the way that the economy is moving, and the market and everything with COVID going on, gold is a safe haven currency. When bad stuff's going on in the world, people buy gold, and that's why it's going up because the COVID numbers aren't getting better, and the U.S. is going back into shutdown. So, me personally, I wouldn't risk taking a sell. I mean, you can if you're in profit. I would just move your stop loss in profit just in case it shoots back up, because I anticipate it to keep shooting up long term. Like I don't anticipate it to come down this far. This is a huge drop. If it was to come down all the way. And just looking at gold from a bigger perspective, you can see here that it's like we can even go in the higher time frame. If you look at gold on the daily, it's pushing up. Like from May 2019, it pushes up, consolidates a little bit, pushes up. There was a drop right here due to COVID. March, when COVID is just going nuts. This is weird because you would have thought gold would have went up, but it looks like people are trying to have more cash, so they just sold their gold and then they let it drop, and then it just recovered again right here. So just looking at gold from a whole year, a year from now, it's just been going up from like August 2018. And that's why I would always have buy biases when trading gold. unless there's something crazy that happens, like COVID happens and then it drops, but then it eventually recovers over time. So if you're in profit, I would just move it in profit. Otherwise it's a little bit of a risky trade, depending on how big your lot size is and how far you anticipate it to keep dropping. Let's see. CT said gold possible retrace spots demand. Oh yeah, so this is CT chart right here on the 1 hour. Yeah. So see that it might retrace to these areas before shooting back up. So if you're in a sell, you have some space. But me personally, I would just move your stop loss somewhere above this area if you can move it in profit, just in case it ends up shooting back up, which it might. But yeah, so this is what I mean right here. I don't think it's going to come down too far, but I think it might come down to test these two pivots or the other pivot. So there's a lot of room where I can test. Test this pivot, test this pivot, test this pivot, test this pivot. I mean, there's a lot of space there, but I don't think it's going to happen like in a day because the market closes tomorrow. Like I'm not expecting it to drop crazy in a day or so. Maybe over the weekend, but and then maybe on reopen it'll drop. But I don't think it's going to drop from now until tomorrow. CT said, yeah, it probably will slight 2K is way. Yeah, definitely. I agree. Or it might just skyrocket to 2K. Who knows? Yeah, it's a bit of a risky trade to be selling. All right, let me keep going down the questions. Gerald's asking, how long have you been trading? So I've been trading in total a little over 10 years. I traded stocks in the beginning for about 2 years, and then I moved over to Forex. So I've been trading Forex probably on and off, maybe 8 years, and then not full time, but basically full time probably the last 5-6 years. And then I just got into indices probably this year, so early this year. I used to be against indices because I didn't like using offshore brokers, but Wade got me into indices, and I started winning a lot trading US 30, and that's why I got into indices. So indices are probably my favorite asset to trade right now. But yeah, overall, I've been trading for approximately 10 years, a little over 10 years now, on and off. But I didn't take trading like super seriously until like 5 years ago. Let's see. Gerald's asking, do you personally trade any other indices other than US 30? If so, then why don't you post them in the signals group? Nope. So I only trade US 30. I like US 30 because this is all I've been studying. So I kind of know how it moves for the most part. So that's why I trade US 30, and it wouldn't make sense for me to trade S&P because S&P moves in the same direction, but US 30 is way more volatile and it's worth more. So it just wouldn't make sense for me to trade the smaller, cheaper indices, especially for trading on FTMO, because we have a bigger account size where I can just focus on one indice and trade that by itself. I did try NASDAQ, but it just, what I recommend is you just master one asset. There's no need for you to learn all of these indices. I have them on my chart, but I don't trade them. I just have them here because people ask to analyze them. But like S&P, US 30, the DAX, all the big ones, they pretty much move in the same direction. So there's no point in you getting mixed up with trading all these different indices when they all move the same way. So if I mix these all up here, so let's US 30. Let's see what else. S&P. And then we got the DAX. So I mean, there's nothing wrong with trading all these different indexes, but me personally, it just wouldn't make sense because look, they all move in the same direction. So you might as well just trade one and get really good at trading that one. Unless you're like Aaron over here, who likes to trade on demo.
Starting again.
Yeah, get Aaron over here. But yeah, I personally don't trade any other indexes. I mean, there's really no need for it because I don't trade multiple trades at a time anyways. Like on my FTMO, all I trade is US30. I trade FX on my personal account. But me personally on FTMO, I just trade as GU hit TP1, guys. So I'll send that update right now. But yeah, I mean, for indices, I only trade US30. I have these on my chart, but I don't really trade them because they all move differently. So there's like, it's like that one saying goes, like, you know, if you try to if you try to master everything, you're never gonna get good at just one. You're not gonna get really good at one thing. You're better off just getting really good at one thing than trying to be good at everything and end up failing at, you know, pretty much every other asset. Let's see, GU, how many pips was that? 25 pips. All right, cool. So GU hit TP. Yeah, so this is pretty much how we send the updates too. I mean, this is why we have typos sometimes, because we just copy what we posted previously. It's the same thing like every time. It's just the profits are different. You know, like instead of AU we put GU. Same thing, TP1. Instead of 18 pips, it's 25 pips. You know, the profits just change differently. It's the profits and the pips that change. So 25. And there goes GU. All right, so we good with that. Let me see what else we got here. All right. Another question by Amrit. Aaron, I thought you helped Amrit out.
Amber, don't stop. Wait, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, but he's not here. He's asking if we can analyze UJ, but we already did.
Yeah, I'm talking to him right now because he had the same analysis as me and you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so Amrit's asking about UJ. You know, that's what we're currently in right now. Here, you know, this is what I mentioned earlier. Generally, after the entry, it usually retraces a little bit. So it's probably gonna retrace to. It might not even retrace that far. It might retrace a little bit before it comes back down. So, I mean, overall, it looks like a good sell. Just hang on tight for that one. Let's see. All right, cool. Nathan's asking, is GJ a good buy? I think we looked at GJ earlier. I think GJ would be a good buy if we had a buy signal. So if we get a buy signal, so if you guys aren't familiar with the, you know, the vertical lines here, the vertical lines demonstrate momentum. So if you have a sell signal and it's red and it's valid, that this demonstrates that momentum swinging downwards. Similar if it's green, it's momentum swinging upwards. And if it's invalid like this, then that just means invalid signal. So those want to classify as a valid signal. But right here we have a valid one. If it's red and red, push down. We have a green, shoots up, red shoots down, green shoots up. And that's pretty much what I mean for right here. So once price breaks this zone right here, if it closes above it, and we have a buy signal, then I would anticipate it to carry on upwards, because that would confirm that momentum swinging upwards. And generally when it's out in the open like this, it moves from zone to zone. So if you look right here, price broke the zone, pushed up to the next zone, it rejected off this lower zone, pushed up to the next zone up here, rejected, came down to this zone, and then it pretty much just bounces from zone to zone. So once price breaks this zone right here and we get a buy signal, then I'm anticipating it to shoot on upwards and pretty much test this zone right here before either rejecting back down or continuing on upwards. So I don't think Nathan's here, but Nathan, that's what I see. If you're gonna watch this later, I know a lot of people watch the lives a little later. They don't want to hang on and watch the entire thing. But yeah, until it breaks above it and we get a buy signal, then I would wait, because the thing is, when it's inside these consolidation areas, it's just going to bounce around until it breaks either above or below. Mims asking, just a reminder that the candle you were looking at for US 30 will close at 6 p.m. Oh yeah, let me check that out real quick. We were looking at the 4-hour too, I believe. Oh yeah, so this is something that that Mark mentioned. So we took a sell for US 30, or we didn't take it, but I advised that this was a sell entry for US 30 using the pivot strategy. So this was a valid sell right here, and the point that Mark brought up was that on the 4-hour, it was actually rejecting off the level 4 pivot. And this is, the last line of defense. So if it was to break below it, then we would anticipate it to keep pushing down. However, if it was to reject off it, we were anticipating it to shoot on upwards. The thing with how price is right now, it's stuck between these two zones. It's stuck between the zone and the last pivot. So what's going on here is that it's going to be stuck between these two areas like this. So depending on how it breaks, from this next candle, if it breaks above and closes above the SR zone, then it can shoot on upwards. However, if it breaks below here and it closes below the K2 pivot, then odds are it might be continuing downwards to the overall trend, because the trend on the 10-minute is in downtrend. So we're anticipating it to continue downwards further. But who knows? During Asia session, price just moves super slow. So, anything could really happen from now until then. So we probably just have to wait a little longer. The thing with this too is that we have a false sell signal. So I don't know how strong that would be. You have to just wait to see how this candle plays out to give confirmation of the direction. But yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Mims. All right, C-Soup said, how do you feel about GU? So let's go back to our GU position. I mean, it looks fine. C-Soup, I personally, I would have gotten out at TP1 or move your stop loss and profit at least, because there's GDP news in about 4 hours or 5 hours. So there's news coming up soon, and it's medium news, which is retail sales, and it's projected to be bad news. So if it's bad news, then GU might come down. So that's why I would move my stop loss and profit, or just close a position right now in profit if you'd like. It's just risky. Yeah, C6 said I'm out in profit. Smart decision. Yeah, it's not something that I recommend holding, especially with news coming up, and also because we hit TP1 already. So if you guys are following the exit strategy, you're supposed to be moving your stop loss and profit whenever it reaches TP1, TP2, or if however you want to apply it. But yeah, me personally, I recommend that you get out if anyone's still in this trade, or you don't need to get out, but at least move your stop loss and profit to guarantee that you don't get caught in any retracement or any reversal due to the news. Gerald said, do you ever enter trades or analyze trades off any other time frames other than the 4-hour, or always on the 4-hour? So Gerald, is Gerald still here? Yeah, Gerald. So before I created this strategy is actually pretty new. I created this strategy in March. So I've only been doing this since March. Before, I used to trade on the 30-minute. So if you're familiar with the original strategy, this is what the original strategy is. So basically, what you would do is you would wait for, let me just take these off. I'll just, I'll take off the drawings. So this is the original strategy. If you get a buy signal, and it's a valid buy signal where it's green and green, and it matches with the trend meter down here, then you enter a buy. So generally, I used to trade on the 30-minute. If you have this right here and these match up, then you enter a buy right here, and then you could have entered this for 85 pips right there. And then again right here, you could have entered this, and then this 11 pips. Let's see. The thing is, you would put your stop loss at the previous swing. So right here, you'd enter this trade right here on the open, and the previous swings right there are 15 pips. So once it reaches this area, if you're familiar with the exit strategy, it's a little more hands-on. So you have to be paying attention to apply the strategy, because as price moves up, you have to move your stop loss and profit. So in this situation, this would have been a winner right here, because you would put your your stop loss to be at the previous swing right here for about 30 pips. And obviously it hit 30 pips up here. So you would have won this trade. Same with this right here. You'd enter on the close of this candle. Stop loss would be about 15 pips. And then you'd use the exit strategy where you slowly move your position in profit. And then we probably would have gone out of this trade too at break even or with a very small profit. Again, right here, there's another entry over here. Looks like this might have been a loss. So yeah, stop loss is 15 pips and it got stopped out right here. And then, so on. Pretty much what you're doing is you're just matching the trend meter with the momentum candle. Let's see if there's any other entries. So again, right here. So right here, we have a buy signal. It's green down there. You can enter an entry right here. Previous swing is down here for about 33 pips. Obviously, straight winner. Again, right here, stop loss is down here, 30 pips. Right there, another winner. So this is the original strategy that I used to always apply. The reason why I changed to the 4-hour strategy is because I just got tired of staring at the charts all day. Like, you can make a lot more money trading this literally all day. You could just take every single entry. And I used to follow all of these pairs right here. Like, you could trade this all day and make a ton of profits just trading this. But I got tired of just staring at the charts all day. So that's why I moved to the 4-hour time frame. And it's a lot more accurate too, because you can just enter the trade and then you can just let it run. And then what I do is I set alerts. So like I mentioned earlier, see, I set alerts at all these areas. So once it reaches TP1, I'll move my stop loss to TP1. If it reaches TP2, I move my stop loss to TP2. This just gives me more time to do things that I want to do. Like I can go to the gym, I can do whatever I want, watch a movie. I don't have to be on the chart literally all day waiting for entries. I've done that for a couple of years, and it's just too much work. Like, yeah, sure, the profits are nice, but it's just way too much work, and it takes a lot of time out of your day. But the same strategy works on the 4-hour too. So you can see right here, if it's green and green, you can enter a buy. So you could enter this buy right here. Stop loss is back here for 130 pips. It would have hit a winner. You could have wrote it all the way to the top for like 500 pips. Again, right here, it's a sell and a sell. You could enter this. Your stop loss is up here for 174 pips. You would hit TP down there. The strategy works on all time frames. Like, you could pretty much apply it on any time frame. But me personally, I found a lot of connection with the 4-hour chart, and I found the strategy to work really well long term. So that's why I apply this strategy now. But I mean, there's a ton of strategies. So if you go on the course, let me see. So I can open it over here. So if you go on to the see if I can open the course up. Yeah, so if you go onto the course and you have access to the course, I'm not sure if you have access to the strategy, Gerald, but if you do, all the strategies are here. So if you want to learn the intraday strategy, you can apply it on any time frame. The momentum strategy, scalping strategies, the support resistance indicators. This is the strategy that I've been using. The K² zone trading strategy. This is the one that I've been talking about, where it moves from zone to zone. And this is the new strategy that I just shared with you guys, the pivot strategy. So there's a ton of strategies that you can apply here, and they can be used on all time frames. So they don't all have to be used on the 4-hour, but me personally, I just have a greater connection with the 4-hour time frame now. Let's see. C-Suk said 1-hour chart shows SR should be referencing to those. Oh yeah, no, definitely, I saw that too. I mean, I should probably start doing that again, where I should go back to the higher and lower time frames just to match them up to make sure that our entries are good. Because just the way that the market's been moving, it's literally all over the place. Gerald said, can you speak on your trading system and signals briefly? Like, I only understand the vertical and red lines. I understand support and demand. Does your system automatically draw? So these aren't support. I mean, I guess you could consider them support and demand, but they're more so support and resistance. So the thing is with, I think that's what you mean with support and demand. I think you just misspelled it because there is a supply and demand, but this isn't supply and demand. This is support resistance. Um, fucking Aaron. Yeah, no. So I'll go over the indicators right now. Let me go to another chart. I'll go to a clean chart so I can show you guys. Fucking Aaron, man.
Ah.
All right, so let me go back to the. I'll go on the 4 hour, and I'll show you what all the indicators do. So let me take all of these off here. So I'll just show you them one by one is to show you what they all mean. So yeah, you said you know what the vertical lines mean. You know, it shows the direction of momentum. The trend meter down here is going to show you the overall trend. So you can change these between the different time frames. I have it set to the intraday time frames, which is 30-minute, 1 hour, 2 hour, and 4 hour. If you want to scalp, you can change it to the 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute. Or if you want to swing trade, you can change it to like the daily, weekly, and monthly. But what this does is this shows you the overall trend on those 4 time frames. So if it's green down here, this indicates that price is trending upwards. If it's red, this indicates that price is trending downwards. If it's blue, this means that it's indecisive or price is in consolidation. So you can see right here, it's blue down here, price just going sideways. And this is really helpful because this will help you see what's going on the chart without actually moving from time frame to time frame. You can literally just look at the bottom, you're like, oh, it's green. Okay, it's trending up. Oh, it's blue, it's going sideways. It's green, it's going up. It's red, it's going down. You know, blue going sideways. It makes it so much easier and more efficient for you to enter your trades if you're looking at it from this perspective. Um, so I'll hide that. The other K2 indicator is going to be the K2SR indicator. So this is the support resistance indicator that we were just discussing, and it does do what you were saying, that it automatically plots the areas where price is likely to reject from. So if you rewind back here, you can see right here that it pretty much plots all of the areas where price rejects from, and it plots areas where price rejects from exactly. So this is able to identify, where for the most part, where algos are trading, because these specific areas are where they reject from. So you can see where algos are rejecting price. You can see price comes down. There's probably an algo here for, an institution or something, and they put a bunch of sell orders right here. I mean, a bunch of buy orders. So you'll know where price is likely to reject from. So price rejected from here. They have a bunch of sell orders right here where it rejected from, a lot of buy orders again right here. Same area, it rejected again right here. So you know exactly where price is going to reject from. The cool thing about it is that it automatically plots it for you. So as price moves, it'll plot the new zones where price is rejecting from. And it does it all automatically for you. So if you have this and you tie these with the other indicators, it gives you, a good understanding as to where price is likely to reject from next. See, price came down. You can see right here, price came down and tested this area, and this was already established. So the thing is, if you knew that this was here, you probably wouldn't take any sells because you're obviously going to anticipate that price is going to reject off this area. Again, right here, you wouldn't enter any buys because you anticipate that price is going to reject from this area, and so on. It pretty much just automatically populates for you. So this just makes trading a whole lot more efficient, so you don't have to go and draw these yourself. See, as price just keeps going up and down. So this is good for identifying the zones. We have the first version, which is just the support resistance. So if you just want to see where support resistance is, you can use this as well. But personally, I like to know where the zones are because I like to know all the areas where it could reject from. But it does the same thing. It automatically plots the strongest support resistance on the chart for you. So it makes trading a whole lot easier. And then lastly, so I went over those 2 indicators. The last one is a K2 pivots indicator. What this indicator is used for is to identify the trend for that specific time frame. So you can see right here when price is above the pivots, Let's rewind it. So when price is above the pivots and they're spread out and angling up like they are right here, this will identify a strong uptrend. So you can see price trends up pretty strong. And then this is like a double whammy because for this, it'll also show you where price is going to pivot from. So you can see price came up, came down, rejected off the pivot, and then shot back up. Again, right here, pivoted, and then likely shot back up. So it comes down and it tests these levels. So we have in 4 different levels, depending on how far it pulls back, you know, how strong the rejection is going to be. It makes things a whole lot easier. And then if you tie these all together, so if you tie this with the momentum indicator, you could literally take every buy here because you know price is trending up. And if you want to increase it even more, you could even add the trend meter down here. So if they're all green and they're all trending up, this is obviously a straight buy. Like, why wouldn't you buy that? Like right here, green, green, trending up, buy, and you could have entered this trade right here for like 20,000 pips for US 30. But yeah, I mean, like all these indicators were produced by me, you know, from my experience. Like pretty much I created these indicators because I figured out inconsistencies in the market. Like I figured out, you know, what was important and what wasn't. So what I did was I pretty much just figured out what did I need to focus on. You know, I need to know where prices are rejecting from so I don't trade in those areas. And then I created the K2SR indicator. You know, I needed to know what the short-term trend was. I created the K2 pivots. I needed to know what the overall trend was. I created the K2 trend meter down here. But the, you know, the main indicator that we use for everything is the momentum indicator, because as long as you know the direction of price and you know, in what direction the momentum is going, if you have the signal here, you'll know exactly when to enter a trade because you'll have confirmation that price is going to follow after momentum has been established. But yeah, that's pretty much all the indicators that we have. Um, and you know, being used all together, they're very powerful because you can see exactly where price is going to be going next. Let's see. All right, Ben is asking, hey bro, can you show people how to take an entry for a trade? Some people have asked. So it's gonna depend on your broker. Like for me, I trade on forex.com, so I could link my account to here. And what I do is I just click buy. I mean, I can't trade it with forex.com because they don't carry US 30. But say if I wanted to enter a trade on GU, like if I want to enter right here, click buy, and then I could enter right there. You know, I enter my quantity. Depending on my stop loss, I could place my stop loss, and I could just put my risk there. So if I want to risk 3%, I just put 3%, and my quantity is automatically populated. And this is why I recommend Forex.com or a regulated broker, because you can be exactly on point with your trading. You know, if you're trading on MT4, you kind of have to guess because they don't give you all these tools. And this is why I don't trade on MT4, because MT4 is just so outdated. Like I don't understand why people still trade on it. Other than, you know, there are specific assets that can only be traded on there, like US 30. But yeah, this is how I enter trades. Or if I want to right click, I just right click and then trade, create an order. Same situation. If I want to enter a buy or a sell, this is how I enter a trade. But I know majority of people in the group only use MT4, so I can't really show you on the screen because I don't trade MT4 on my computer. I do it on my phone. So, I mean, unfortunately, I can't show you guys how to do that. But if you're trading on TradingView or Forex.com, it's literally super simple. You just click on buy, and then you just enter your details right here, and then you just click buy, and then it'll enter the trade. Let's see what else we got here. Ben said, since you basically answered the other question, check out gold for me. Thanks, bro. So yeah, let's check out gold again. So I was looking at gold earlier. It's in a super strong uptrend. So me personally, I know some people they enter themselves because they're anticipating it to drop down. And that's what CT was looking at too. So pretty much this could come down and test, you know, this pivot right here, or this pivot down here, or this pivot down here. But I think overall it's going to keep continuing upwards. So if you wanted to enter this trade, I probably would just put a buy stop right here. I would trail these red candles. So I put a buy stop right here or a buy stop right here. And as it keeps moving down, I would just put a buy stop on top of these and just keep sliding it down. So as soon as price shoots back up, you're automatically in the trade, and then you can lock in as many profits as you want. Um, or you can wait for a sell signal. So right here we had a sell signal. And then if you're using the momentum strategy, so if you're following this strategy right here, the momentum pullback strategy, then you could, so if you get an opposite signal, like right here, we got a sell signal, I would put a buy stop right here. And then as price shot upwards, you could enter that trade automatically. Again, right here, we have a sell right here. I'd put a buy stop right here. So as price shot up right here, you're automatically in the trade. So that's one way to do it. Um, Me personally, I think it's going to continue on upward, so I wouldn't enter a sell. I would just trail it with a buy stop and then probably enter whenever it swings back up. All right, let's see if there's any other questions. All right, I think that's about it. We have one more question from Mims. He's not here anymore, or actually he is. So Mims asking if there's any updates on the auto trading software. So I'm still working on it right now. It's not, honestly, I don't think I'm going to release it to the public because I mean, it's not really benefiting me if I release it to everyone, because the thing is I could just trade my own accounts. And if, you know, people are just copying my trades, that it's just not gonna, it's not really gonna benefit me. I mean, unless I take a percentage for everyone's profits, but that's just gonna be too much work on my part. I might as well just focus on my FTMO and just grow it to 300K. Um, but you know, I'll still keep it in mind if I want to release to the public. We'll probably have to wait until later though, because just the way that the market's moving, you know, I'm sure you're aware, just with everyone else, it's just harder for us to have consistent returns, you know, compared to how it was, you know, 2, 3 months ago. Like from May until last month, we were like killing it, like day in, day out. And then this month, it's just been really slow. So me personally, I think I would hold off on it before. If anything, I'll probably use it to help people pass FTMO, but I'm probably not going to be managing any accounts with it, because it's just too much risk on my part, and then just me having to deal with it is just, it's just too much of a hassle. So if anything, I'm probably going to use it just to help people pass FTMO, but I'm probably not going to be managing accounts with it. Let's see. Anything new from K2 that we should be? Let's see. So I'm working on another indicator that's kind of similar to the trend meter down here, but it's going to be for the pivots. But it's just kind of, it's harder for me to put that together, because the thing with the trend meter is that it's easier for us to determine the trend on the 4 time frames. The problem with me applying this to 4 different time frames is that they usually don't line up. And the thing is, if they do line up, price is always going to be near the level on pivot. You can see here, it's usually grazing it. So what I was trying to do is I was trying to create a new indicator that would be like a trend meter, that would pretty much show that price, you know, it would turn green if price was above the trend meter. I mean, above the pivots on 4 different time frames. But it's kind of too hard to calculate that, because just because of how price moves so close to the first pivot level. So if anything, that's probably going to be one of the main things that I'm going to be working on, a new trend meter that's meant for the short term. So this trend meter down here is for long-term trends, but for the pivot trend meter, it's going to be identifying more so like the short-term trends. Mim says, Felix really a child, or is it an inside joke between him and the K2 crypto Aaron? Yeah, no, Felix, I think Felix is a real kid. Aaron, what do you think?
Bro, I don't even know, to be honest, bro, man. He could be 30. I don't even know.
Yeah, I know. Me personally, I don't know, because I mean I know Felix, but I don't know him personally, so I can't really tell if he's really a kid or not. But he's really smart for a kid if he's a real kid, because he knows more about stocks than a lot of a lot of people know, and he's pretty on point with this stuff. So I don't know. I don't know if he's gonna keep carrying on the alias or if he's really a kid, but I mean for now, I guess I can assume he's a kid. until I actually meet him in person. But he acts like a kid, so he might be a kid.
Yeah, exactly. Super childish.
Yeah, unless he's just a childish adult.
That too.
Yeah. But yeah, guys, I think that's it for all the questions. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A. Otherwise, I'll still be available in the chat. I'm just probably gonna get off for a little bit, for maybe an hour or so, because I don't really see much going on in the market, especially since it's Thursday. The market's pretty much dying down. I mean, it's been dead the whole the whole month for the most part, but it's getting a lot slower than it already was. So US 30 is still coming down. So it's back in profit, guys. If you guys take that pivot entry right there. But like we mentioned, it's close to the pivot here. So if it closed below the pivot, then we're anticipating a big drop. Otherwise, it looks like it might just consolidate into London. But hopefully it drops and hits TP, because I know everyone's inching for that TP right now. But yeah, guys. All right, so it looks like that's about it for the questions. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to reach out on trading. I'm not trading on Telegram, and I'll be back in the chat in probably like an hour from now. I'm gonna go grab dinner real quick, and then I'll catch you guys later. All right, guys. Talk to you guys in a bit.
Thank you.